as I drive through Texas, and I've lived here all my life. Clearly, what you see is lots more people. Lots more houses and lots more cars, and we like to live in the same places where a lot of these rare animals like to live, and and usually the ranchettes win out over the spot-tailed earless lizards, and so it's just something that's inevitable when you see such a huge population boom as there's been, especially in the Edwards Plateau. That the downside of that's going to be a loss of natural areas and the animals that depend on those. We want to determine where the lizard is and where it's, as best that we can, where it's still present and where it's been extirpated from. To do that, we're visiting all the known historical sites and gathering whatever information we can on the lizards. We're going to do whatever, we've got 1 year to do this, and really a couple of months, because that's the only time they're active. So we're going to visit these sites in a couple of months, these 207 sites, and we're going to do what limited surveys we can do for lizards, and we're going to gather all the habitat and environmental data from the site that we can, and that way, when we understand a little bit more about its habitat, we can look at what this site looks like now, and whether or not we find lizards, we can make an educated guess about whether or not, based on the habitat, that lizard is still there or not. Well, the spot-tailed earless lizard is about 8 inches long. It is differentiated by some of its close relatives by the fact that it has spots on the underside of its tail, and thus the name, spot-tailed earless lizard. I mean, some of its close relatives in the genus do have spots on the top part of the tail, but if you turn this lizard over, it's also got spots on the underside of the tail, and that's the way that you can tell it from some of its close relatives, which don't occur in the same place anyway. So, if you're in the range of this lizard, you won't find anything else except maybe in the northernmost counties. There could be a Holbrookia maculata that is similar to Lacerata, that you might have to flip the lizard over and look at the underside of its tail. I don't know that this lizard is more important than any other, but it, when you have something disappearing like this, it's indicative of something going on with the environment, and that's the most important thing, is that if the lizard's disappearing, then what else are we losing that's causing this lizard to disappear? In this case, we're guessing that it's pesticide use, and if pesticide use can be so decimating, that it can be wiping out an entire species, then I think that it's something we need to take a closer look at. Yeah, we hope to see the same type of thing that we saw with species like the brown pelican and the bald eagle by raising awareness of the spot-tailed earless lizard. With bald eagles, of course, is probably the most high-profile species. We saw a tremendous decline. It looked like they were just going to become extinct, but enough study revealed that the reasons for this decline, which were in the case of bald eagles, which may also be the case with spot-tailed earless lizards, was pesticides. And we were able to do something about that. And now bald eagles are no longer endangered. We're just removed from the endangered species list. It all starts with gaining some more knowledge. I mean, we have to start with the basic building blocks of science. And right now we don't know where this thing still is and where it's probably gone from. And that's what we have to start with.